Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing good. Today is the session for completing the rest of the JavaScript part, and I'll explain you a little bit basics about the request and response cycle of the backend and how the get and post requests are basically sent to the backend of this server. So we learn a little bit about that and how we can connect the database. We are going to study about that today. In yesterday's classes, we studied about all of the CSS part and we studied about the JavaScript. Uh, we'll continue the JavaScript part for today. I hope I am audible and we'll quickly start the session without wasting time. Yeah, give me a minute. I'll just share my screen and we'll continue. Yeah, okay. So yesterday I gave you an assignment in which you had to create a prompt which will like describe these concepts basically. If you write in the prompt new, then you will be able to add a task. If you write list, then you will be able to list all the tasks. If you write delete, then you will be able to remove the task, and if you write quit, then your prompt will be finished. Okay, so that was the task that I gave you yesterday. uh, did you get a chance to try this particular task? Even if you were not able to complete it, I'll explain the code part of this particular task and then we'll continue further. So now for creating the task list, what we wanted was we wanted that uh, a list of tasks will be displayed on the web page. Now one important thing about that is if we want to create a list of tasks, right? So it's very necessary for us to create array for that purpose, because we need more than we need one variable which can store more than one values that are tasks. So our primary objective was that. So due to this reason, we had to like create the array. So that's also displayed on the first line of the web page. I'll explain it to you step by step. Just give me a minute. I'll just remove all the things from here. Yeah. So now I was saying that we need to develop a task. Like we had to create something like this, where we had a task array. Okay, This is a task array. What this particular symbol means is this is an empty array. Okay, so this is an empty array, and we are going to add our list inside that, inside this part. So we have created an empty array similar to this. Now inside the query we are going to add a prompt. So our value of the prompt will be saved in this particular query. Like if suppose this is my particular prompt window, and here I am saying what would you like to do, and if I enter here new, then this particular new value will be saved in my query variable. It will be saved in my query variable. So if I write in the prompt what would you like to do, then I will be able to store that value in the query. So if I just console log here, if I just console log here the query, then you can see we are how we are able to store the values. This is connected to this particular next.html part. Here I have added the html part of displaying the list, that for adding a new task we have to write new, and list for listing all the tasks, delete for deleting the task, and quit for quitting from the app basically. So if I paste this here, and see here I am getting a prompt, right? So in this particular region I'm getting a prompt. If I write here new and I click on OK, then, and if I just give me a minute. Yeah. So okay, script here, copy the path, open the console, and then paste it here. And if I add here new and click on OK, so you can see whatever thing I'm writing in the prompt, I am able to see this hello, because I have console log the query, right? Hello, and all of these things. So this is what we are going to do now. So in the app.js part, we are saving the query or whatever thing we are writing in the prompt. I'll just remove that. Now what I've done is I have added a while loop which says up till when the query value is not equal to quit, then we have to like run our application, and query is not equal to queue. If we write quit or if we write queue, then our code will stop working. Okay, so as soon as in the prompt, what this while condition will do, let me tell it to you. When it asks what would you like to do, if I say quit, then our app will stop working. Okay, and again if I say what would you like to do, I say quit, then this will end. It will say okay, quitting the app, because when this condition will become true, we will console log okay, quitting the app. When this condition will become true, then we will move out of the loop and it will say okay, quitting the app. Now this particular part is done. If this particular thing is false, like if the query that we are entering is not equal to quit, then we will go inside the while loop and we will add the conditions. This is known as the conditionals. So what are conditional statements? Suppose I write if a is equal b, and if this particular value is true, then we generate a result which is known as which can be anything. Like I can say console log here, it's true, and this will happen accordingly. So let me show it to you in the console also by writing this. So if I write here if a is equal b, okay, a is equal, or let's say 1 is equal to, and I hit on enter, and I say console log here, console log you are wrong. For example, I print something like this, and if I do this, so I will get nothing because 1 is not equal to 2. So this console log will not print. Similarly, if I make this condition true, if I make this if condition true, pasting it here and say here 1 is not equal to 2, and I hit on enter, then I will be able to print the console here. So this is the use of conditionals. Now conditionals have the two parts, the if part and the else part. Okay, so if this particular condition is true, then something will happen, else the else part will run. So let me just go back, and if I say if 1 is greater than 2, or let's say I will take a variable, let a is equal to 1 and let b is equal to 2, and if I say if a is equal to b, okay, if a is equal to b, then I have to console log here if part has worked. Okay, if this if part will be true, then this will be console log. Otherwise, I will go to the else part and I will say console.log else part has worked. Okay, if I hit on enter, then you can see since 1 a is not equal to b, right? So if part console log has not worked, but the else part console has worked. So that's how we use the conditionals. So inside the while loop, what we have done, we have added some conditionals. So if query is equal to new, then we have to create a task which will take the prompt value, enter a new task, and here I will push that particular task in the tasks array that is present here. Okay, and I can console log this particular task is added to the list, and if my query is equal to list, okay, then I will console log by using the loop all the list items present in the task array. And if my query is equal to delete, then I will enter a prompt, enter the task you want to delete, and then I will search for that particular number and I will use the splice function and I will delete that. Then, if there is anything else, then I will give an alert saying, I didn't understand this. Please enter a valid query. Then the query prompt, what would you like to do? So that's how we can create this particular task. I hope this part is clear to all of you. Okay, so that's how we have done the to-do list part. You can see the code or take the screenshot if you want and practice this on your own. Then we'll continue in a minute again. I hope you have taken the screenshot part. Okay, now we'll move to the next section. Variables we have studied, strings we have also studied. Now we are going to study some intermediate concepts in JavaScript, which refers to the functions in JavaScript. So what are functions basically? Now let's suppose you have a particular value. Suppose you have a is equal to 1 and you have b is equal to 2. Okay, and now what you want to do, you want to use these two numbers and you want to console log the sum of these numbers, or I can say you want to sum these two numbers a and b. Okay, and if you console log sum, then your output will be something similar to this. You will be getting 3 as the output. This is the basic thing. Now suppose you want to take another two numbers. Let's suppose c is equal to 3 and let d is equal to 4, and you say let sum is equal to c plus d, and you can here console log sum, then also you will be getting the value 7 as the output. Now if you see it very clearly, we are doing the same, we are performing the same function, like we are doing the same thing when we are, but we are using different variables, right? This particular thing is same. So suppose you have like 100 variables, for example, like you have 100 variables and you want to sum each of them by two, like a and b and c and d and e and f. So in that case, you have to continuously write this sum console log sum value again and again. You have to write this line again and again in your code. So for not doing this, or for reducing the repetitions in our code, we use the concept known as functions in JavaScript. So functions in JavaScript are of many types. We'll like learn about it slowly by going forward. So the syntax of the function is basically you write function and the function name. So here I will write simply function and the name of the function. For example, here we are doing the sum, so I will write the name of the function as sum, and here I will just make it blank for now, and I will say here console.log 1 plus 2, and then I will close this. Now let's do this part in code also. Here I will go to this part and I'll just comment out everything for now, and this is empty now, and I'll go to its index.html path. I'll copy the path and paste this in my browser. This is an empty path. I will just add here one heading for describing we are learning functions in JavaScript. Okay, I will save this. I will click on refresh. So you can see we are connected to the correct file. Now I will go to the console part because we are console logging something here, right? So I will just go here, and now what I will do, I will go to its app.js part. This is the app.js part. I will go down, and here I want to create a function basically. So I will write here function, and then the name of the function. It can be anything that you want to write. So I will write sum here. You can write any of your choice, and you add these braces, these parentheses for writing the function. It's like very important. They define, this signifies as soon as I write, see here I was not writing anything, and as soon as I write here this, so what this signifies is we have created a function. So wherever you will see this means function in JavaScript. Now what I'll do, I'll open these parentheses. This is the basic syntax of creating a function, and here what I will do, I will say console.log 1 plus 2. Okay, and I will add a semicolon if you want, or you can skip it. Now for calling this function, if I just save this, I go back to my web page, I click on refresh, then you can see I'm not able to see this particular console log. Whatever I write in this particular function, if I write here hello also, then also I am not able to see this particular thing in the console. What is the reason for that? So functions do not explicitly run on their own. We have to call them. So how we call these functions? So the syntax for calling the functions is we write the name of the function, add the parenthesis, and we are good to go. If it I will explain you what the parameters are, but for now if I write this particular value in the sum, then I'll be able to see this value in the console. If I refresh this, so you can see now I am getting 3 as the output in my console as soon as I have called this particular function. So this is particular thing is called the way of calling the function. If you see very clearly, there is also one issue. So this is the first step of writing a function. Okay, I refresh this, you can see this particular function. So similar to this, here I have done this particular thing, which is the function sing, right? And if you see this very clearly, this is function sing, It says console log do re mi. It's something like that. It's singing something. But I have not called this function. So my last function will work, but this sing function will not work. For making it work, I'll just comment this out. I'll call this particular function, and now I am getting the output. So I'll just remove this. So I hope this particular part is clear, how we can create a function and call it. Okay. So that's how the sync value is working basically. Now comes the part where we pass the values in the function. If you see very explicitly, then you can say that we are not able to do a lot of things. Like we are not able to pass things here and like do some calculations. So what we can do is we can use the concept of passing the values in the function. So let's again take the example of some function only. And if I say I have to uh, console log here two variables whose value I will give to the computer, and accordingly it will add them. That was the major objective that we had. Okay, and so for doing this, I will pass here the parameters. This particular thing inside this is known as the parameters. Okay, here we pass the values, and these values are passed to our function here, and then we are able to calculate it. For calling this particular type of function, what we use sum, and inside the sum we pass the parameters. In place of a and b, for example, we can pass 1 and 2. And what will happen then? This 1 and 2 value will pass to a and to b respectively, and then this particular value will pass to a and b inside the wherever it's working in the function. So let's just try writing this. I'll just comment this, and if I write here function and I say sum, here I will pass the parameter a and b, and then I will open the parenthesis, and I will say console.log a plus b. Okay, and then I will call this function. So now I have to pass the parameters. I can pass 2 and 3. Okay, since I want to add them, so I will pass 2 and 3. Now if we go back to the console, I click on refresh, then you can see I am able to sum these values. You can change this accordingly, and you can call this multiple times also. For example, I can call this for 1 and 2 also. If I click on refresh, then you can see I'm also able to sum 1 and 2. So that's how it has reduced the repetition in our code. If I write here 10 and 11 also, then I am able to see their sum on the screen. So that's how we do the concept of passing in functions. Now here also I have written one example where we have a function named greet. Okay, I'll just comment this out. Okay, then this also. See, so here what we have is we have a function named greet, and this particular function we are passing a parameter. I'll comment this out for now. So we have a greet function where we are passing a value of the person, and we are console logging hi, and we are passing that particular value in the person. Now inside greet, we are sending the value of the name. This name will go to this person parameter, and then we will be able to console log it. So if I have commented out everything. If we go back, if I click on refresh, then you can see whatever thing we pass here, we are able to call it. If I say here greet my name only, and I click on save and refresh this, then you can see I am able to print my name also in place of this particular function. So that's how passing works. You can also add your name, and you can call this multiple times as you wish. Okay, so now I can also pass two parameters. For example, like I told you earlier also, we can pass two parameters for string also. So if you just open this and see this, so here I will comment this out, and here this will be greet George and cloney. So let me just comment this, and if you see, I am passing two parameter, first name and the last name, and then I am saying first name and last name, the zero, the first value of the last name. Now if I refresh this, go back to my web page, then you can see I am able to print the value. Why it's coming C? Because we are taking the zeroth or the first letter of the name. Okay, so we can do this also. Now if I want to repeat this particular value, then I can add a loop. So in function I can also add a loop. I will add one string and a number, and then I will store it in the result variable. This is a result variable, a string, and then I will start with I equal to 0, and I will add this result here, and then I will console log the result. So let's see what we are getting here. So I'll just I'll just call this particular function repeat, and here I have to pass a string, so I will pass my name, and then I have to pass a number, so I will pass 3. I will save this and I will go back, click on refresh. So you can see I am able to repeat this particular string 3 times in the row because I have added 3 here. Why? Because this is a result string, and it's adding this particular result, the string that is coming in the result value for the using the for loop, and then I am able to console log the result. I hope this part is clear to you guys. So that's how we can also use a loop inside function. Now we can also create this add function, and we can also select the type of, like we can also add conditionals here also. So if type of my x is a number and type of y is a number, then we can write here can't add, like if they both are not numbers, and if otherwise we can just return the value of x and y, and I can console log here anything. So what this return means, whatever thing we are going to add to this particular value, it will return it. So if your function is returning anything, then you can store that value in a variable outside. So I can say here result, okay, let result equal to add 1 and 2, and if I just console log the result, then the result of add 1 and 2 will now not be displayed only in the console, but it will also be displayed on, I'll just comment this, but it will be returned in this particular variable result. So I will go back, click on refresh. So you can see the result of 1 and 2, I am able to console log it in the 3 as the 3 value, right? So that's the use of return. Now one more important thing, we cannot add more than one return values here. Only every function has only one return, and after that you cannot do anything in your particular function. That's why this console log will not work, because after return you cannot do anything in your function. If I click on refresh, so you can see I am not able to console log this value, so I have to always add this above my return function, then it will work. So every function only contains its one return statement, and this return value can be stored in any of the variables of your choice, and you can use it for further calculations or whatever needs you have for your code. So this is the basic part of the functions that we have completed. Is there any doubts, or should we move forward with the part? If you have any doubts, you can ask in the chat box, and I'll just zoom out this so you can take the screenshot for practicing in the future. Okay, now let's continue further. Now there will be some leveling up of the functions. So what we can do is we can create functions inside the functions also. Okay, so they are called nested functions. So how we can create this? For example, it has a lexical scope, meaning we can create fun function and we can also create a child function. So if I just say bank robbery and I have an array which says heroes and it has the list of heroes here. Okay, so this particular is the list of heroes, and if I say function cry for help. Okay, now inside this I can use the particular for loop and I can call this also inside the function. So that's how we create the nested functions. And if I just, yeah, so you can call this inside a function, one function inside function also. This is called lexical scope of the function in JavaScript. So you can call this out again outside this bank robbery and this function will work accordingly. Now this is the function expression where you are adding the const add value and you can return that accordingly. So that's how you can automatically add it inside, add the particular return value inside the add. You can create a function from here also. Okay, so that's the leveling up of part. Now scope, the block scope, I have already told you about that. Let have a block scope, so you cannot use it outside that. Now var variables do not have function scope, they have block, and they cannot be used outside the particular functions basically. So you will not be able to use any let values, so that's why we have used const here. Now a child and nested functions, for example, this particular function will have access to your this particular variable. Okay, since it's inside your parent function, so all the variables that are present inside your uh, mm, inside your parent function, they can easily be accessed by your child function. Okay, now I can also treat the function as a value, which is storing it in a variable. So that's how we can do it like this. So let me tell you with an example. I'll just write it in the console. Initially, what we were doing is we were creating a function, let's say add, and I was giving it two values, 1 and 2, and then A and B. Okay, A and B, and then give me a minute. Yeah, and then what we were doing is inside this function add, we were saying console log A plus B. Okay, now hit on enter. I will comment this and then I can call this particular function 1 and 2. Okay, now if I don't write here console log, and in place of console log I will write here return A plus B, then this particular value I can store it inside any variable created of my choice. For example, I have created here the result variable. I have called this particular function and I will be able to store the return value in this. If I click on enter, give me a minute. Okay, console log, I don't have this value. If I now click on enter, the result has already been declared. Okay. Okay. We'll, since it's const, so I'll change it to let because it's changing continuously. So let result and the comment. Okay. Yeah, we cannot use it here because it's making it cumbersome. So we'll go here and we'll add this function here, and the result value, it cannot be redeclared. Okay, I'll just call it answer then. Okay, now I will go back, I will refresh everything, and you can see I'm able to print this particular 3 value here. So what we can do apart from that, we can just simply create let answer is equal to, now I will create the function here only, and I will pass the two parameters 1 and 2 for example, and then I will open the parenthesis and I can just say here return 1 plus 2. Okay, function return x plus y. We can also change it to const and an answer, and we'll remove this because we have already declared this. Here we can use a and b, and here it will be a plus b. So we can also create a value similar to this, and we can call this particular function later on in the code. If I just write here what we can say, answer is answer a and b, then I will be able to call this particular function. So that's how we can also write. There are different methods of writing these functions, so we can treat it as a value also, the value of the function. If you pass this, you will be able to do this. Now they are also known as values in JavaScript. We can store them, pass them, and we can do a lot of calculations using the functions. Now we have some higher order functions. Now, what are higher order functions? Inside the parameters, up till now, what we were passing was some of the values like 1 and 2 or the string or anything of that sort. But we suppose we want to pass a function inside a function as a parameter. So we can do that also by and these type of functions are known as the higher order function, which accept other functions as a return a function. Okay, so suppose this is a particular function named call twice, and inside the parameter I have passed another function as a parameter. So and then I am calling this particular function inside the call twice function. So this particular function is an example of higher order function. Now suppose this is an example that I have given here. It's roll die, okay, function, and inside the roll die I am using mat.floor random, and I am creating this particular function. So this is a roll die, and in the call twice function I have passed this roll die function. Okay, and now I will call this. So this particular example is known as the higher order function. Let me just show you to you also. See, this is these are some examples of call twice function. Okay, so here it's function called twice, and here this func is defined, and it's we are passing it here. And then if I want to call this particular function 10 times, I can create a loop, and I can call this particular function 10 times by creating the loop. This is the roll die function, and if I just pass here roll die, for example, roll die, then this particular function will be called 10 times in a row. Okay, so I will be able to calculate this particular value or console log this 10 times in a row. Let me just open and show it to you also. I'll just paste this. Okay, so here in the starting, what's happening, this function is being called. I'll just open the console. Okay, for now we don't have anything being displayed here because we have not called any function. Okay, this app.js, I have commented everything. Now I will create one function which can be function hello, and then I will write here console.log hello from function 1. Okay, I've created this particular function. Now I will create another function higher order. Okay, I have named this higher order only, and here what I will do, I will pass my function. hello. This particular function, I will pass it here. I will open this and I will call this function. Okay, hello. So that's how I can pass this particular function and call it here. Now I will call this function for this to work. So I will only say higher order. Okay, refresh this and also pass the parameter here. Okay, hello and the parameter value. Let's check what we get as the output. Okay, so I am getting hello from function 1. See, this hello from function 1, I am able to get it. No, we don't have to do this. We can simply, yeah. So here I have to write higher order. And as soon as I write this and click on refresh and I pass here hello, refresh this, so you can see I am getting hello from function 1 since I have passed hello here and it's passed as a parameter. This is parameter. Let me call it parameter only for avoiding the confusion. This is your parameter, and this parameter has what value? It has the hello value. Let me correct the spelling out. Okay, and I click on refresh, so you will see the same thing. So these are called the higher order functions. Okay, this is the all the things that are being described. Then what we can do is we can return a function also. So suppose I have this particular function which says create a random function, and if this random function is greater than 0.5, then we will return a function only. So in place of returning number or string, we can return a total complete function also of our choice. So let me just show you with some simple steps. So suppose I have created this hello function. I will also create another function which is by. Okay, and this will console log by from by function. Okay, now what I will do, I will remove this and I will create function, my higher order function. Okay, and I will pass the parameter here. Okay, so I will pass here hello, one hello parameter, or I can say function 1. Okay, and function 2. I will pass two functions here. Now I will say if 1 is greater than 2. Okay, then I will return function 1. Okay, else I will return function 2. Okay, so if 1 is greater than 2, then function 1 will be returned, and if it is not true, then function 2 will be returned. Okay, now I will pass function 1 and function 2 in the higher order. So in higher order, I will pass hello as function 1 and by as function 2. Let me click on refresh and let me check if we have anything else which is okay. Only this particular function is what is written here in my code. Okay, I will go back, click on refresh. So you can see that I am able to print this particular by because my else part is coming out to be true and function 2 is by. So that's why I'm able to get this. So we can also return function 1 and functions as a return value. I hope this part is clear to you all. So that's how we can pass this. So this is all these things are basically the most important parts of the function. So we have completed this. Now we will go to the method part. So method is just a function which has a property of let's say of an object. Okay, so a method is not a function, but we can consider it as a function, but function cannot be considered as methods. So how we do this? Suppose I have this particular value which is const. One more thing, the data types that are present in what we say JavaScript. One more thing is we also have objects in JavaScript. So what we can do is I can just create a const variable math, okay, and this will contain these parentheses. So as soon as we add these parentheses, they represent objects in JavaScript. So inside object, what we can do, we can create different values. For example, I can say here multiply, and for this multiply value I can add a function. So if I just say here multiply, okay, or I can say add, and I can add a function here, function a and b, and here in the a and b function, what I can do, I can return a plus b. So this is, I have created for add this particular function, okay. This is object, and inside this I have its key and the value property. Now if I just want to see the answer, so what I can do, I can say console.log, and I will say math, and for call, like for finding out the values of the method, we use dot and we say add. So if I have add values, so I will say mat dot add, and inside the mat dot add I can simply say what I want to do basically. So in mat, I will say mat dot add, I will click and I will click on refresh. So I am getting this particular function as my return value, because this is my value c, function e and b, and I can return this here. Okay, so I can return this particular function. So they are known as objects. So I can create multiple functions inside this. So wherever you are creating multiple function, that part is known as the methods. So here you can also see multiply. So there are some shorthands also. So suppose you have this const math. Okay, I will add these numbers and I can also square them. Now this keyword is used for accessing the particular values here. So suppose I have cat dot the function, and it will be called in the context of cat object only. So that's not very important part, but you I hope you are able to identify the difference between methods and the functions. Now we have one more thing in the JavaScript, which is basically known as the try and catch block. Okay, so I'll give you a minute to just revise everything that we have studied up till now, mainly the methods part, and then we'll continue further. If you want, you can take the screenshot of this also, and if you have any doubts, you can ask in the chat box, and we'll continue in a minute. Okay, now we'll move to the next part, which is the try and catch block. So instead of generally what we do in JavaScript, in place of if and else statement inside the functions, we generally use the try and catch block. So if you write here try, and if this particular thing you try, like console log, if you try to console log this particular message, and if it's true, then you will be getting only this particular value. But if in the try block you get any kind of error, then you will receive it in the catch block. This e parameter catches the error and it console log that particular error only. So that's how we can use the try and catch block. So uh, yeah, we can use the try and catch block also. Then we have some important methods in JavaScript, which are the callback methods. So these are some of the callback functions which accepts function as arguments. For example, they are for each, map, arrow functions, and a lot of these functions. So it for each calls function once per element in the array, and it does not return anything. It is not used a lot because we have for loop. So let me just show it to you. So here, suppose I have this particular number, const numbers, and all of these numbers are present here. And if I let's say print the element, create a function which will print the element. And what I can say, for each element that is present in the array, I am going to call this particular function. So that's the use of for each. So suppose you have created this particular function and you want to call it for all the numbers that are present here, for 1, for 2, for 3, for 4, for 5, 6, and till 20, then you can use for each. And as soon as you write numbers for each, you have to call this print function. Then you will be able to call this for all of them. So that's the use of for each. Now you can in place of creating this function explicitly outside, there is another method which you can use. You can see here, you can write numbers and you will write dot for each, and inside this you will create a new function. And inside this particular function you will pass the parameter p, and p will be p divided by 10 and console log p. So what this p value will contain, this p value will contain the your particular these numbers basically. So you will be able to do this uh, for the functions. Okay, yeah, so you will be able to do that. Now this was the thing that I was telling you about. This is known as the array of objects. So let me explain you a little bit about objects, then we'll go to the array of object part also. So here we previously we were creating something like, suppose I have the variable named array and I have these particular values in it, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So suppose I have this particular array present. Okay, wait. Let me refresh this. Give me a minute. Hmm, to change the network. Okay, so suppose you have a variable and you have created this particular array. So in this case, here you were storing either number or string, or number string or decimal value, or any of that sort. You were able to store this here. But in case of object, uh, suppose I create, let a is equal to parenthesis, and I say 1 hello 2 bye. I have created something like this. So this particular syntax is which contains the key. This is known as the key before the colon, and this is known as the value after the colon. Okay, so this key value pair, wherever you will find it, this is known as object. So in place of these numbers in the array, you can also pass object. So when you pass objects in array, that part is known as array of objects. Okay, so let's suppose you have a array. Okay, you have created this, and inside this a array you are passing one object like this, and here it will have, let's suppose, id 1, name John. So this is your first object. You can create more, id2, name do. This can be your second object. So this particular syntax or this particular structure is what is known as array of object. Okay, in place of numbers you are passing object only. So here I have created one movies array of object. So it has this movies array, and inside this I have id of the movie and the name of the movie, then id and the name, id and the name. So now let's suppose I want to change these movie name to capital movie names. Okay, so for this what I can do, I can use a map function. So this, what this map function will do, this will map the function to all of these values. So here I will create the function, I will say capital movies name, and in the movies dot map function I will say return the t. The t will be the value that we are going to pass, t dot name, like movies dot name, and we have to change it to uppercase. And if we console log this, then you can see we'll be able to see the output. Let me show it to you once. So let me create a new yeah, let me open this. These all come in the callback function part. So let me explain it to you one by one. If we go to the console, so we are getting a lot of things. What we'll do for explaining purposes, we'll comment out everything and refresh. Okay, still everything is not commented. Okay, this is higher order function. Okay, we'll now comment everything out, and then we'll click on refresh. So now we don't have anything in our app.js, only the index.html file and that. So previously what we were studying about the for each. Okay, so let me take this particular const number array. Okay, this is the const number array that I have taken. It's from, let's take a little example. I will take only 5 values here. Okay, now what I want to do is I created a function only one time, which is function hi. Okay, and this particular function, and then I have opened this. Okay, so let's check if they are passing any parameters for that sort. So they are passing one element. So now inside this I will pass the element num. Okay, I will pass it num, and I will say I have to console log num. Now for passing the parameters in this, if we are using the for each, okay, if we are using for each, then we can say the name of the numbers dot for each, and as soon as I write this for each, I will be able to call it for all the numbers that are present in this particular array. And I write here for each I have to call this hi function. So this is known as the callback function. And if I save this, I click on refresh, then you can see this will be called for all the functions, that for all the numbers that is present in the array. Okay, so I this is the use of for each. Now we'll do a little bit about the movies part. So let me create this particular array of object of movies. Now we are going to study a little bit about the map. Okay, see. So this is the array of object that I have created for movies. Now I am going to create the, I want to change the title of all these movies to capital letters. Okay, so for that I am going to use map function. So now what I will do, I will create a new array of object, because this will be saved in the new value. So now I can see, I can create an array which will only contain the capital movie names. So capital movies. Okay, capital movies. This is an array. So I will open it like this, and here in the capital movie names, see, uh, yeah, we have this movie names, movies dot for each. Then we are going to use, yeah, okay, we can take this example. This is smaller one, and then I'll take the bigger one. Okay, so suppose you have this particular text being displayed on your app.js file. So here you have an array of text. Now what you want to do, you want to change all the values that are present in the text to uppercase. So how you can do this? So you will create a new array named ups, and inside that you will map this text values with a function. And what this function will contain, this function will reference to this t. Okay, the text will pass on this t parameter, and you will say t dot to uppercase. Okay, as soon as you write this, all these values will be changed to uppercase. Let me go back and click on refresh, and let me just console log this ups. Okay, console log this ups value. I click on save, go back, click on refresh. So you can see my ups has now changed all the values to the uppercase. So that's how we can use the map function for arrays. Now we can use this for movies also. Here, see, if you see it very explicitly, we have the movies array of object, okay, which contains the title and the score. Now what I want to do, I want to show it using the for each function, for example. So what I can do, I can create a function with the parameter movie, and I can say movies parameter is coming from movies, and then movie dot title will console of movie dot title, and then dash movie dot score. So if you want to print the movie dot title and score for every element that is present, you can use here for each. So if I just save here, go back, click on refresh, so you can see with the dash I'm able to see all these values. Okay, now let me give you an example of showing it with using the map function. So here this I have shown you all to lowercase, and suppose this is the particular function. You have an array. Okay, yeah, so suppose you have here this particular array, a array 1 2 3 4 5, and what you want to do is you want to return this all values you want to get by after multiplied by 2. So what you can do, you can create a new array b which can map these values with the function t, and you can return it as a form of t into 2. Okay, so what will happen if I just console log b here, then you can see all the values will be mapped by multiplying by 2. So 2 4 6 8 10, all of them will be are multiplied by 2, and you can find it in the b value. So that's the use of map function. You can also create it for movies. Like suppose I have this, I want to change the title of this to capital, all the capital letters. So what I can do here is I can create a new array const capital movie name. Okay, for example, a capital caps movie. I will name it like this, and then what I will do, I will call the name of the function movies. Okay, movies, and I will map this to a new function that I am going to create. I will pass the parameter m here. M parameter will contain the movies. Okay, now opening this particular value function, and here I will say uh, caps movie. Wait, give me a minute. Yeah, so this particular function will now return m dot title dot to uppercase. Okay, so now what this will do, this will take the title of m, like movies dot title, and this will change it to uppercase, and this will save it to the caps movie. So if I just console log here caps movie, let's see what we get. Click on refresh, so you can see all the movie titles that we were seeing previously, they are all changed to capital letters. So that's the use of map. I hope this part is clear to all of you. Okay, now we have completed the for each part, the map part. Now we are going to learn a little bit about the arrow functions. So arrow functions are nothing but just in place of functions, we can create the const, add, and this is the newer syntax of functions. Now we don't have to write the function, we can simply use this, and everything else will be same. Okay. So this is another method of writing the functions. So that's about the array functions. Now set timeout. What is the set timeout function? So suppose I open the particular new file for this so that I can explain it to you more explicitly. I'll close this. Now we are going to study about the set timeout part. Okay, I'll just close this, this also, this also, and okay. So this is our index.html file which is going to explain us about the set timeout function. Okay, this is by default defined in the JavaScript, and we can use it in our code. So if we go to the JS part, so you can see here are a little bit of things which are not commented, so I'll just comment this out so that we are set to start with a new file. Okay, also remove this. So now I don't have anything working on my app.js. I'll open the console and it should be empty. So right now it's not empty. Now it's empty. Okay, it's empty for now. Now what we want to do is if I console log hello in my if I console log in the console hello, then you'll simply be able to see this hello, right? Now what this set timeout function do, this is the syntax of set timeout function. So this set timeout function has a parameter value set timeout, then opening the function. This is also a shorthand for creating a function. If you write this, add the arrow, you will be able to create a function inside this. And here you are saying console log, are you still there? And this console log is going to be printed after a duration of 10,000 milliseconds. Okay, after a duration of 10,000 milliseconds. And after that, I am going to console log goodbye. So I'll repeat again. What I'm going to do is I am console logging hello, and then I have created a set timeout function which will console log are you still there after a duration of 10,000 milliseconds, and then I will console log goodbye. So in JavaScript, if you know that uh, everything which is going to happen is going to happen line by line. So this is console log hello, then this will be console log, and then goodbye will be console log. If we go back to our web page and we try doing this, then you can see we are getting hello, goodbye, and after a duration of like some time, we are not able to get are you still there, right? We are not able to get this. So what is the reason behind that? See, after a very long time we are getting are you still there. So what is the reason behind that? Again, if we do this hello, goodbye, and after a long time we are getting the are you still there part after a duration of 10,000 milliseconds or 10 seconds, you can say, I am getting this output. So the reason for that is the set timeout function. So inside JavaScript, set timeout function is asynchronous in nature. Now let me explain you a little bit about what asynchronous is. So if you look at, there are some functions in JavaScript. So if you look at the set timeout function, suppose this is function 1, this is your set timeout, and this is your function 2. So if you run this function and then this particular function and it's taking some time, then this will be stored in as a callback function. Okay, this will be stored as a callback function, or it will be called later on in our code, and this will stop for that time being, and then our code will move to the next line and it will start executing rest of the commands basically. So that's the use of the asynchronous function. So if what is the reason for set timeout functioning this way? The reason for set timeout functioning in this way is asynchronous nature of set timeout, which says that you will store this value of the function for some amount of time, and then you will move to the next line of code which will continue working. So that's the use of set timeout. And even though I add a lot of console log here, you can see that I will only get this particular value as my output after a duration of 10 seconds only. Everything has worked, and then I will get the set timeout. So in this way you can also create a functions with some delay in the code. Okay, now set interval. So if you want, in place of set timeout, you can create a set interval which will console log something after some particular time delay. For example, I have this timer ID. Okay, and I have used the set interval function, and this will console log math.random after a duration of 1000 milliseconds or 1 second. What is this math.random? It will generate random numbers. I will comment this out. So now if we just go back, click on refresh, so you can see I am getting random number after a duration of 1 second. I am consistently getting these numbers. So what this means, and now I am getting are you still there after a duration of 10 seconds, because set timeout function will give this after 10 seconds, and these are random numbers generating on my screen after 1 second. So that's the use of set interval. And if I write here clear interval, then it will stop and my intervals will be cleared for that purpose. So it will stop after this time if you write clear interval. Now one another asynchronous function that we can add is the filters. Okay, the filter. So suppose I have this number array from 1 to 20, and now what I am going to do is I want to filter these numbers. And so for that, what I will do, I will say numbers dot filter, filtered numbers is equal to numbers dot filter. Okay, and if you write this filter, inside that you will write n arrow, and then inside this n arrow you will return all the numbers that are less than 10. And if now you will console log these filtered numbers, you will get only those numbers which are less than 10. So if I refresh this, so you can see you are getting all the numbers which are less than 10. Okay, so that's the use of filter. Now suppose I have these movies array of object. Okay, I'll comment these out. I have these movies array of object which contains the title, the score of the movie, and the year of the movie. So this is array of object. Now what I want to do is I want to filter these movies and then map the title and then give the particular title of these movies. So what we are going to do is we have created an array of good titles. Okay, and then there will be movies and I will filter it according to m, which represents m score greater than 80. So all the movies which whose score is greater than 80 will be filtered out, and then I can use another function, the map function, by using the dot notation only, and I will say map the good titles array with map dot title, the movies dot title or m dot title. And then if I console log good titles, then I'll be able to get the values of these titles. So if I refresh this, then you can see I am getting all the values of the movies of the title which whose score is greater than 80. Okay, so in the similar way, what I can do, I can create bad movies array also. So if I say here bad movies and I create a filter of movie whose score is less than 70 only, and then I also map this. Okay, I also map this with m, which basically represents hmm, which basically represents m dot title. Okay, so and if I console log bad movies, then I'll be able to see this on my screen. So here all the bad movies whose score is like less than 70 are being displayed on my console. Now I can also create a map of recent movies. So for example, I have this particular recent movie and I create a filter of movie with movie dot year greater than 2000, and I map this with m value only. Okay, m, where m represents the m dot title. Okay, and I save here, refresh this, then you can see see, let me console log this. So this will contain all the recent movies. Okay, recent movies, I save this, click on refresh. So you can see all the recent movies I'm getting which are greater than 2000 years. So this is how we can use more than two functions and we can create a filter. I hope this part is clear to all of you. I'll just give you a minute to revise all of these things and ask your doubts, and then we'll move further. Okay, so now we'll go a little bit further. We have studied the set timeout, set interval, and the filter. Now we are going to study about sum and every. Okay, so what is the meaning of sum? Sum returns true if any element in the array satisfies a given property. Okay, so it will return true if any element, not all but any, have a property which is true. and every returns true if all the elements in the array satisfies a property. So let me just open the new code file which is connected to it. I close this, open this again. Okay, sum and every function in JavaScript. I will just open the console. Okay, so this is the sum and every function in JavaScript. So it's by default returning some true value. I'll just close this, and now I'll open the sum and every JavaScript part. Okay. Now this is the exam array that I have here. It contains 80, 98, 92, all the numbers here. So now what I can do is I can say const every exam that is present here, exam dot every, and the score should be less the score, and I have to select all the score that is less than 92. So if I'm using every, then all the values that are present inside my array should return a true value. So but that is not the case, so I should get a false for every exam. Okay, so if I just console log every exam, okay, and I okay, so if I just console log every exam here, then I should get a false value. If I just refresh this, click on refresh, so you can see by app.js line number 6, which is basically this particular line, it's showing me false because every number that is present here is not less than 92. And for the satisfying the condition of every, we should have all the numbers uh, satisfying this particular condition. Now if similarly I use the sum exam, now this sum exams, if any of the value is less than 75 here, then I should get a true, otherwise I will get a false if there is no value that is less than 75, or let me just say less than 90. Okay, if any value is there which is less than 90, then I'll be getting true for that sort. So by using line number 7, I am getting true value. Okay, now I will take another example of movies for sum and every also. So here I have const movies. I'll just comment this out again. Okay, so I have these movies array of object which contains again title, score, and year. And I will add here console.log movies if every movie is there whose movie.year is greater than 1950. So if there are these all movies have the year greater than 1950, then we will be getting true. So if you see all the years that are present here have are greater than 1950. So this, for this part, your every will return true. So that's why if I refresh this, you can see I am getting true. And if I change this to from 1950 to 2000, then I will be getting false because all the movies year is not greater than 2000. I hope this part is clear to all of you. The difference between the sum and every. Okay, so we have completed the uh, yeah, asynchronous nature of the part. We have completed this. Intermediate, try and catch, array methods, new year functions in JavaScript, array method, sum and every we have completed. Now we are going to study about the reduce and this. Okay, so if you just go to app.js here, you can see that if I just want to reduce the size of my basically array, then similar to all the functions that we were using previously, we can use the reduce method for that. So highest rated movies, this array will be reduced to higher rated movies. And for using the arrow function in this, suppose I have this particular method which has the first name as Vigo and last name as Mortensen. So this dot first name signifies that first name of this particular value, and this dot last name is the last name of this particular object only. So if you are using first name and last name inside the object in which it is created, in that case you use this. Okay, again this dot first name and this dot last name, so that's the use of this. Okay, now there are some also newer functions in JavaScript such as destructuring. So what this destructuring part does is, suppose you have these arrays. Okay, it has scores of these particular values, and if you have the high score, like the scores, you can create this score 0, which will contain this value. Second highest score will be score 1, then cost gold silver. If you use it like this, then gold will be this and silver will be this. So this is how you basically destructure the what we say destructure the array. So let me give you one example. So let me just show it to you by opening a file. Copy the path and paste it. So, and open the console here. Okay, now I will go to the app.js part. And here this is your structuring, like scores is there, which is contains the array. And if you destructure is it, like this will be gold, okay, this will be silver, this will be bronze, and then everyone else will be something else. Okay, and these all will be structured in scores. So now what you will be able to do is you will be able to access these elements by their own. If I console log, let's say if I console.log here gold, okay, and I click on refresh, then you can see I'm getting the value of gold because it has been destructured from the array. Now I can use it explicitly as a variable. Similarly to this, I can use silver also and bronze also. So that's the destructuring of the array part. Now suppose I have this user object and I want to destructure it or remove it from the object and make it a variable. So what I can do is I can create this particular variable const first name is equal to user, and then I will add dot, and then I will add the first name value. So now this has been destructured and I can use it explicitly in my code by using the variable name only, which is the first name. If I save this, go back, click on refresh, then you can see I'm able to destructure my first name from the object. Now I don't have to write here user dot first name. I can simply use first name. Similar to this, I can do that for image also, and I can destructure it multiple times like this. User.email, I just remove this. So what I can do is I can destructure things like this also, like email, first name, last name, bio. If I add this is equal to user, then I'll be able to use it explicitly. Now if I console log here email, okay, I console log here first name, and I console log here last name, because all of these has been destructured, right? So I don't have to use user now, and I can use them as plain simple variables. See, so that's how destructuring works. Now this is birth year, so now our variable is called birth year. Again, this is user 2, okay, so died is equal to na. You can also do this. Then this is the param destructuring, or a full name, user dot first name and user dot last name. You can also do this by passing the parameters. You can destructure your name also. Okay, so suppose this is a movie and you want to destructure title, score and year, then what you can do is you can destructure them by filtering the score, and then movie dot title, movie dot year. This is also an example of destructuring. So this is the normal method that you use, and if inside this, if you use this like title, score and year, and you can use it without using the movie dot title, writing it explicitly. You can use this like this also, title, year and score. So that's the destructuring part, which you can also use inside the functions also. Okay, now asynchronous nature I have told you about. Now we'll just explicitly learn a little bit about the promises, which is important concept in JavaScript. So if you guys have any doubts, you can ask, and then we'll continue further. We'll continue in a minute after this. Okay, now we are going to study a little bit about the promises. So suppose I have created a fake request uh, with URL parameter here. Just look it for now, and then what I do is I return a new promise uh, with the resolve and the reject parameter. Then I will create a set timeout function which will contain a random function and then request fulfilled. Now I will console log this random number into 10,000. So that's the syntax of new promise. Here we return a new promise. If it is resolved, then we'll pass this. Else we will reject it by saying that there is an API error. So this is like a fake request that we have created. Here there will be a URL of our backend. So this is a particular syntax. I show it to you also. See here, the fake request, I have passed the URL of our web page, and if I say dot then, when the URL request is passed, and if this particular thing is true, like if this URL is true, dot then means then we have to do something else. Then we'll say message console.log done with message, and I will say the message. Else I will catch an error saying timeout error. Okay, again another example of promise is, suppose I have created this delayed color changed function. Here I have passed two parameters, the color and the delay. Okay, so here what I can do, uh, I can create sequence of functions here. So here I have passed color and the delay. Now I will return a new promise which will either resolve or it will reject the value. So now when it will resolve, then we will say set timeout, and it will say document dot style. Now this is the selection of the HTML part. So inside the HTML document I will select the body, and in the body I will select the style, and of the body style I will select the background color, and I will change it to this particular color, and I will say resolve. Then I will say delay basically. Okay, so now what will happen, uh, here it will be delay, the delay will be passed in the set timeout. Now if I have to call this particular promise, what I can do is I will say delayed color change red and 1000, this is the initial color. Dot then will create the next request, next promise, which is delayed color change of orange color for a duration of 1000 seconds. Then color change of yellow for a duration of 1000 seconds, and this will continue till violet. And then if anything of that sort is not true, or it's coming out as wrong, then we will console.log this as this isn't supposed to happen, and how we have reached here. So we can create this particular promise. So let me just open index.html part and open this in the browser to show it to you how it's working. So here it's creating the promise of red. Then after a duration of 1 second, you can see I am able to change the color of the particular text. So by using this particular, give me a minute. Uh, Promises, yeah, script.js. So here you can see color change up till violet is happening here, right? And at violet it will stop, then orange, then yellow, then green, then blue, then violet, then pink, and this will end. So that's how this is working according to our promise. Okay, so that's how we add promises for our code. I hope this part is clear to you all. Then we have the APIs part. Okay, so here we have the notes for that. APIs refers to the application programming interface, and all the websites have that. So this is the API. So we want raw information of the web page and we can call it accordingly. So I'll try sharing these notes with you all so that you can revise all of these things. Due to time constraints, I don't think we'll be able to complete all of this, but in the front end, suppose you want to search for something, so you can create fetch requests on the front end for fetching on the back end. So suppose this is your backend URL, okay, and after fetching dot, you will add dot then, and you will say console.log resolved, and you will say return response.json. Then you will console log the data, and if there is any error you will catch the data. So that's how you have used the promise. And if you write here fetch, then you can simply fetch your request. Okay, you can also like you can also fetch the request, or you can also load these values. For example, here I have used const respond equal to await axios dot fetch. So now this will response give us a response, and if there is any error it will catch in the error. So that's how we create a request or fetching done on the front end part. Okay, for that we also use Axios. So Axios is library for making HTTP request. It was used in JavaScript, and using this, it becomes very easier for us to create a request. We simply have to write axios.get and the URL of our server, and then we'll be able to fetch the contents that is present on the backend on our front end web page. Okay, so this is the part terminal. You have to try doing that on your own, and after you have completed practicing the JavaScript part, then you will be good to go with the Node.js part, the Express, and the MongoDB part, which comes in the higher order, like values of the uh, higher order of the development part. So I think that's all that I'm going to teach you for now. Rest of the things will become very cumbersome. So after this, what is left is the node part only, and the MongoDB that we will complete, and then everything will be completed from here. We have completed the JavaScript part till here. If you guys have any doubts, you can ask in the chat box, and then otherwise we'll end this particular session. Guys, if you have any doubts, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll end this session in 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, guys, if you don't have any doubts, I guess we can end the session. Thank you all for your time. Have a good day.